Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Dear Naruto Lemon fans, I'm thrilled to invite all of you to my Boosty channel, where you can enjoy exclusive Naruto Lemon scenes in a comfortable and supportive community. Choose from various subscription tiers, from Mini Lemon to God Lemon, and gain access to unique content tailored just for our fans. Plus, subscribers to over Naruto Lemon and God Lemon will receive special mentions in my videos. Support my channel and dive deeper into the world of Naruto today. Dare! My story. First Arc Chapter 1, Unexpected Awakening in a New World. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and felt the sun's rays filtering through the leaves. He sat up and found himself lying on the sidewalk. Around him was a bustling city full of people running to and fro. At first he thought it was just another training session, but he soon realized that this didn't feel like Konoha. It was an unfamiliar place and his heart began to beat faster. "Where am I?" he muttered, trying to collect his thoughts. When his vision cleared, he saw tall buildings, bright billboards, and people walking by. Naruto felt lost, and no matter how hard he tried, his chakra wouldn't respond. The emptiness inside him was frightening, and he didn't know what to do. Kurama, he said hopefully, but only silence answered him. Suddenly a voice was heard. "Hey, are you okay?" Naruto turned around and saw a young man with long, slightly wavy hair and dead eyes like a fish. His face showed concern. "Yeah, everything's fine," Naruto replied, trying to hide his embarrassment. "You're not from this city, are you?" "My name is not Kang Lim," the guy said with a slight smile. Naruto. "Just got here," he admitted, feeling his anxiety fade into the background. "I see. Let's go, I'll show you some interesting places," Kang Lim suggested, nodding to the side. "Okay," Naruto agreed, feeling like he trusted this guy. They started walking down the street, and Naruto was amazed by the life around him. The city was full of energy. People were laughing, playing, chatting. It reminded him of Konoha, but at the same time it was completely different. "Have you ever tried the local cakes?" Kang Lim asked, pointing to a small pastry shop. "No, but it sounds tempting," Naruto replied. Kang Lim led him inside and Naruto was overwhelmed by the aromas that filled the room. The display cases were filled with sweets and he couldn't resist the temptation. "Try this." Kang Lim pointed to a brightly colored berry-studded pastry. "It's the best in town." Naruto took a bite and his eyes sparkled with pleasure. "Delicious. I've never eaten anything like this." After the meal, they continued walking through the city. Naruto noticed Kang Lim laughing and joking, and with each step he relaxed more and more. "You're really good at ball," Kang Lim remarked as they passed a field where children were playing soccer again. "Thanks. I just love playing," Naruto replied proudly. "It reminds me of my childhood." "Then let's have a competition," Kang Lim suggested, his dead eyes suddenly filled with excitement. "Okay, but prepare to lose," Naruto exclaimed with a smile. When they reached the platform, Naruto felt joy. He noticed how people around him were smiling, as if they were happy to see him. This gave him confidence. They approached some children who were playing ball. Naruto, without thinking, joined them. "Hey, can I play with you?" he asked with a wide smile. "Of course." The boys answered happily. "Who are you?" "I am Naruto, the wandering hero," he said proudly. "A wandering hero? That sounds cool. The children laughed, and Naruto felt his heart fill with joy. The game started and Naruto enjoyed every minute of it. He laughed, screamed with joy and felt alive. Every goal and every successful pass brought him joy. After the game, they sat on the grass, relaxing and discussing their favorite games. Naruto couldn't help but notice how quickly they became close. "You're cool. Where are you from?" asked one of the boys. "I'm from far away, from another village," Naruto answered, not wanting to go into details. "You must have had a lot of adventures," exclaimed another. "Yes," Naruto said, remembering his adventures. "But now I'm looking for a new place and new friends." Kang Lim listened intently as Naruto shared his stories of friendship and adventure. "We will continue exploring tomorrow," Kang Lim said as they left the children. "Of course. I'm ready for anything," Naruto replied, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. When they returned to the hotel, Kang Lim suddenly stopped. "You know, I have a sister, Minyoung Na, and a mother. Minyoung is also into anime and manga. She's an otaku, like me," he suggested, looking at Naruto with genuine interest. "You should definitely meet her." "Sounds great. I'd like to meet her," Naruto replied, feeling like this could be a good opportunity. The next morning, Naruto woke up with a sense of anticipation. He prepared to meet Kang Lim's family. When they met, Kang Lim led him to his home, which was cozy and simple. "My mother always cooks something delicious. She will be glad if you come," he said, smiling. When they entered, Naruto felt a homely atmosphere. Kang Lim's mother, a woman with a kind face and a warm smile, greeted them. "Oh, Kang Lim. Who do we have here?" she asked, looking at Naruto with interest. "This is Naruto, my new friend. He just arrived in town," Kang Lim introduced him. "Hello, Naruto." "Welcome," she said, coming closer and hugging him. "How are you feeling in our city?" "Thank you. I feel fine," Naruto replied, feeling the warmth of her greeting. "Have a seat, I'm just preparing dinner," she suggested, heading to the kitchen. While his mother was cooking, Kang Lim showed Naruto around their house. He told Naruto about his sister Minyoung and how they were always there for each other. "Minyoung is an otaku. She loves anime and manga. We often discuss new releases, and she always inspires me," Kang Lim said proudly. "I hope I'm lucky enough to meet her," Naruto said, smiling. He felt his own dreams of friendship and adventure come to life with every new word. At this time, there was a knock on the door and Minyoung entered the house. She had long hair and bright eyes, full of energy. "Hello, brother. Who is this with you?" she asked, noticing him. "This is Naruto, my new friend. He just arrived in town," Kang Lim introduced her. "Hello, Naruto," she said with a smile. "It's nice to see you." "Hello. It's nice to meet you," Naruto replied, feeling his connection with them grow stronger. "Are you an otaku?" Minyoung asked, her eyes sparkling with interest. "No, I'm not an otaku," Naruto replied, slightly embarrassed. "I don't know much about manga and anime." "No problem. I can show you some interesting shows," she said enthusiastically. "What's your favorite hobby?" Naruto thought about his training and adventures in Konoha. "I always dreamed of being a strong ninja and protecting my friends," he replied, feeling his heart become a little heavy. Images of his team, their battles, and moments of joy came to mind. "That sounds exciting," Minyoung exclaimed. "Maybe you could create a story about your adventures? I love it when people tell stories of their exploits." Kang Lim nodded. "That could be a great idea. You've always been good at telling stories." Naruto felt his heart fill with warmth from their support, but thoughts of his past did not leave him. He remembered his friends, his village, and these memories sometimes brought him sadness. How is Sasuke? And Hinata, flashed through his mind. He knew that he could not simply forget his past life. I'll think about it, he said, trying not to delve into his feelings. When dinner was ready, they sat down at the table. Kang Lim's mother served delicious food, and Naruto couldn't contain his delight. This is incredible, he exclaimed, tasting the food. I've never tasted anything like it. I'm glad you like it, Kang Lim's mother smiled. We always try to cook with love. After dinner, Minjong invited Naruto to play the guitar for a while. She wanted to show him some simple chords. This could be fun, she said, walking over to her instrument. Naruto nodded, feeling that this could be a good opportunity to get to know her better. When she started playing, he listened to her, enjoying the music. It was beautiful, and he felt the music penetrate his heart, bringing back memories of his own dreams. You're really talented, Naruto said when Minjong finished. You have a gift. Thank you, she replied, a little embarrassed. I just love music. After several attempts, he was finally able to play his first melody. Listen, I'm playing, he exclaimed, proud of his achievement. That's great. Minjong agreed, laughing. You're on the right track. Once they finished the game, Kang Lim suggested going outside to show Naruto around. You know, we're having a festival soon, Kang Lim said as they walked outside. You should come. It's a great opportunity to learn about local traditions. A festival? Sounds interesting. What's going to happen there? Naruto asked curiously. There will be fairs, performances, and lots of treats. Minjong exclaimed. It's a great way to enjoy the atmosphere of the city. Naruto felt his heart fill with enthusiasm. I'll definitely come. This will be my first real celebration in this city. Kang Lim and Minjong exchanged glances and he smiled, happy that his sister was so enthusiastic about sharing her hobbies with her new friend. As the sun began to set, Naruto lay down on his bed, thinking about everything that had happened that day. He could feel his thoughts of the past world and his friends still floating around in his head, but now they were filled with new hopes. He knew that he couldn't just forget his past life. Every time he thought about his adventures, his heart would flare up with feelings of nostalgia, but also a desire to create new memories here. Naruto fell asleep with a smile on his face, preparing for a new day and new adventures that awaited him in this unfamiliar world. In his heart, there was hope that despite the separation from the past, new encounters and amazing opportunities awaited him ahead. First Arc Chapter 2, Friendship Festival. Morning came and Naruto woke up with anticipation in his heart. Today was the day of the festival and he felt like it would be a great opportunity to meet new friends and maybe learn more about the culture of this new world. His mind was still filled with memories of Konoha, but now he was hopeful that he could create new bonds. When Naruto came out of his room, he found Kang Lim and Minjong getting ready for the party. Minjong was wearing a bright outfit that showed off her energetic nature, and Kang Lim looked like he was getting ready for a big event. Hey Naruto! Minjong shouted when she saw him. Are you ready for the festival? Fully ready. Naruto replied with a smile. What do we have planned for today? We'll go to the fair, try some treats and watch some performances, she explained, her eyes sparkling. And then there'll be a costume parade where everyone can show off their outfits. That sounds amazing. Naruto said, feeling his excitement grow. After breakfast, they all went out together. The city was already full of people, dressed in colorful costumes and ready for the party. Naruto enjoyed the atmosphere, he felt the happiness filling the air around him. Have you ever been to a festival? Kang Lim asked. No, never, Naruto replied, looking around eagerly. But I've always wondered what it looked like. We have many traditions that might be interesting, Minjong said. I'd be happy to tell you about them. When they reached the main square, Naruto was amazed. There were many fairs with food, games, and amusements. The sounds of music could be heard from afar, and a crowd of people were laughing and chatting happily. "Let's try something delicious," Kang Lim suggested, pointing to the stand with pies. They walked up to the counter and Naruto couldn't resist trying everything. He tried sweet and salty snacks, and his eyes sparkled with pleasure every time. "It's delicious. I've never tasted anything like it," he exclaimed, delighted with the new experience. "I'm glad you like it," Minjong said, laughing. "I knew you'd appreciate our treats." After they had satisfied their hunger, Naruto noticed a group of performers performing a dance to the sounds of live music. They moved in sync, and the sight captured his attention. "Want to see?" Kang Lim asked, noticing Naruto's interest. "Yes, let's do it," he said, full of enthusiasm. They came closer and Naruto was immersed in the festive atmosphere. He felt like he was part of this new world and all the memories of Konoha seemed less painful. After the performance, Minjong pulled Naruto towards the game stand. "Let's try this. It's so much fun," she exclaimed. They came to one of the game tents where they had to throw rings at bottles. Naruto took a ring, aimed and threw it, and hit it. "Hooray! You're great!" Minjong shouted, hugging him. "You're really talented." Naruto felt pride well up in him. "Thank you. That was just a lucky hit." After some games and treats, they decided to rest for a while on a bench. Naruto looked around and noticed many people smiling and laughing. The festive atmosphere filled his soul with joy. "I never thought I'd experience something like this," he said, looking at Minjong and Kang Lim. "Thank you for bringing me here." "We're glad you're here," Minjong replied, her eyes shining. "This festival is a great way to celebrate friendship." Naruto couldn't help but smile back, knowing that despite being lost in this new world, he could still make new connections and new memories. As they stood up again, Naruto noticed that a procession was beginning in the square. People in colorful costumes were walking down the street, singing songs and waving flags. It was a magical sight. "Let's go closer," Kang Lim suggested, and they walked to the edge of the street to get a better view. Naruto was impressed by the beauty and energy of the event. Each new turn of the procession brought new joy and excitement. "This is really great," he exclaimed as they watched the performance. "Yes, festivals are always fun," Minjong agreed. "I hope this will be an unforgettable experience for you." Naruto felt his bond with Minjong and Kang Lim grow stronger with each passing moment. At this moment, he knew that his heart could open to new friends and new opportunities. As the day came to an end, Naruto was tired, but at the same time, he felt happy. He never forgot about his friends in Konoha, but now he knew that he could create new memories that would be important as well. "Thank you for this wonderful day," he said, looking at his new friends. "It was better than I could have imagined. We are always glad to have you with us." Minjong replied, her smile shining like a star. Naruto knew that this was just the beginning of his adventures in this new world, and he was ready to face whatever fate had in store for him. First Arc Chapter 3, School and New Acquaintances. Naruto woke up with a new sense of anticipation. It was still early morning outside, the sun was just beginning to break through the clouds, filling the room with a soft light. He slowly sat up, reaching his hand to his hip, automatically checking to see if he had forgotten his kunai, but then stopped, remembering that in this world he did not need his usual tools. This place was peaceful, and his only weapons were simple curiosity and a willingness to learn. "It's still strange," he whispered under his breath, looking around the empty room. "Why can't I just forget everything about Konoha?" These thoughts clouded his mind only for a moment, because the coming day promised new acquaintances and, perhaps, unforgettable impressions. He quickly got himself in order and went downstairs, where Kang Lim and Minjong were already waiting for him, full of energy and enthusiasm. "Good morning," Minjong exclaimed, her face beaming with friendliness. She was in the kitchen, impatiently sorting through her textbooks and notebooks. "Good day, Minjeon," Naruto smiled, trying to be polite. He himself felt a little awkward. For the first time in a long time, he was going to school. Kang Lim's mother came up to them, smiling warmly. She handed Naruto a plate of breakfast, fragrant rice, vegetables, and what looked like miso soup. "Good morning, Naruto," she greeted him. "How was your first night in our house?" "Wonderful. Thank you for your concern," he replied, blushing slightly. The warmth that Kang Lim's mother radiated reminded him a little of the days when he was a young genin in Konoha, looking for any confirmation that he was appreciated and loved. Breakfast was quick and filling, and soon the three were on their way to school. Kang Lim and Minjeon walked ahead, discussing the latest manga, and Naruto followed behind, listening to their conversation and trying to get used to the school atmosphere. "Have you ever been to school?" Kang Lim asked, turning to him with an interested expression. "Well, not exactly," Naruto muttered. "We had an academy in Konoha where they taught us how to become shinobi. But this was completely different." Minjeon smiled at Naruto's answer. "That sounds unusual. I'd like to know more about your life there. Maybe you can tell us someday." "Of course, I'll tell you someday," Naruto replied, although he wasn't sure if he could share everything he'd experienced with them. As Naruto approached the school gates, he noticed many students entering the building. Most of them seemed to be busy with their own affairs, some were chatting with friends, some were flipping through their textbooks, and some were simply enjoying the morning sun. The school building was huge, with tall columns at the entrance and many windows from which curious faces were already visible. "Here we are," Kang Lim said proudly, stopping in front of the entrance. "Welcome to our school." Naruto looked around, feeling a little trepidation. Everything here was new and amazing, but he felt ready for any adventure that might come his way. "Are you sure you can get used to it?" Minjeon asked with a smile, nudging him slightly with her elbow. "I've gotten used to more than school," he replied, laughing. Naruto looked around, feeling a little trepidation. Everything here was new and amazing, but he felt ready for any adventure that might come his way. "Are you sure you can get used to it?" Minjeon asked with a smile, nudging him slightly with her elbow as they walked down the school hallway to his classroom. "I've gotten used to more than school," he replied, laughing. Minjeon walked him to the door and waved cheerfully. "Good luck. Brother told me that you definitely won't be bored here in class. I'll meet you at lunch," she said, disappearing into the stream of students. When Naruto entered the classroom with Kang Lim, he immediately noticed the lively atmosphere. Several students were watching the new student with interest. Of particular interest was a girl with short black hair and a calm but sharp gaze that followed his every move. "Hey Naruto, this is Part-1," Kang Lim introduced her, noticing her interest. "She's into art and is currently creating her own webtoon." "Nice to meet you," she said with a slight smile, her voice friendly but with a hint of seriousness. "Hello, Jong-ah," Naruto replied, nodding. He couldn't help but notice her confident expression and slightly introverted demeanor that made her unusually attractive. As soon as everyone had taken their seats, the doors opened again and Yun-Soo entered the classroom with his usual expressive gesture. As soon as everyone had taken their seats, the doors opened again and Yun-Soo walked into the classroom. He immediately attracted attention, walking in with an expressive gesture as if he was in the center of the stage, and his eyes sparkled with a mysterious gleam. "Naruto, you have chosen a dangerous path," Yong-Soo began, looking up at him with an expression of great seriousness. "The world around you hides its dark secrets from you, but I, Shin Yong-Soo, who stands on the edge of light and darkness, will help you comprehend the unknown." Naruto looked at Kang Lim in surprise, but he only smiled reservedly. Yun-Soo always speaks in this style. "It's his thing," Kang Lim explained quietly, while Yun-Soo, without losing his serious expression, slowly sat down in his seat. Sounds interesting, Naruto muttered, trying to get used to his new classmate's manner of speaking. Yuda, who was sitting in front, chuckled and turned around, looking at Naruto cheerfully. Yun-Su always says that. It's like he lives in his own world. Get used to it, she said, winking at him. Park Jong-ah, sitting next to Naruto, barely managed to suppress a smile. But he's a good person. He just likes drama, she added, shaking her head. When the teacher entered the classroom, the lesson began and an atmosphere of calm concentration hung in the air. Naruto tried not to get distracted and listened to the teacher's explanations, despite some uncertainty. The material was completely unfamiliar to him, but he decided not to back down and tried to understand at least the basics. Every time he found himself thinking about Konoha, he reminded himself that he was here now to adapt to a new world. During recess, as soon as the bell rang, the students noisily left their seats and headed to the cafeteria. Kang Lim, Yuda, Park Jong-ah, and Naruto went together, and along the way, they were joined by Yong-Su, who seemed to have already come up with another theory of his own. Naruto, you definitely have magical energy hidden beneath your ordinary appearance, Yong-Su said, pointing his index finger at him solemnly. And I, Shin Yong-Su, pledge to help you uncover it. Thank you for your support, Yong-Su, Naruto replied with a smile. I think I could use your advice. Park Jong-ah looked at them with a slightly raised eyebrow. Yun-Su, it looks like you found an ally. Yes, Yun-Su replied, his eyes flashing. Naruto doesn't know that there are powers hidden in our world that mere mortals can't resist. When they reached the cafeteria, Yuda invited everyone to sit at the same table. During lunch, the conversation turned to school clubs, and Naruto listened with interest, trying to figure out what he might like. Maybe sports? Kang Lim suggested, knowing that Naruto had mentioned his love for active activities. Yes, we have a great football club, Yuda agreed, smiling. I played recently and it was fun. You played? Naruto was surprised. You really are talented in many things, aren't you? Well, maybe, Yuda replied, a little embarrassed, though her gaze remained confident. I just like trying new things. After lunch, they were already feeling more at ease as they walked back to class. Naruto felt himself becoming attached to these people, and realized that it was becoming easier for him to forget about his worries about the past. End of the day. During the last classes, Naruto sat next to Park Jong-ah, who sometimes told him about her ideas for comics and characters. Her gaze was focused as she explained her thoughts to him, and Naruto listened to her with interest. You really take your creativity seriously, Naruto noted, admiring her passion. Yes, I think every character has something special, Jong-ah replied, something that makes them real. First Arc Chapter 5, Meeting in the Shadows. A few days had passed since Naruto had officially joined the club. The time he spent with Yuda, Kang Lim, and the others had been pure joy. They played board games together, discussed their hobbies, and just had fun. Yuda was reserved, but her presence filled the room with a warm atmosphere, and despite her outward softness, Naruto saw strength and confidence in her. But just when he felt like he was finding his place in this world, trouble appeared on the horizon. During another break, Naruto, Yuda, and Kang Lim were walking down the hallway to the cafeteria. Naruto immediately noticed that Yuda looked nervous, her usually bright eyes were darting around, and her demeanor was more withdrawn than usual. Are you okay, Yuda? He asked quietly, trying not to attract attention. Yuda glanced at him, her usual gentle smile flashing for a moment, but then she shook her head. Yeah. There's just something strange. She lowered her eyes, as if considering whether to continue. If something is bothering you, we can help, Kang Lim interjected, his voice confident. He was serious. Yuda took a deep breath and frowned slightly, her cute image fading for a moment. For the past few days, I've felt like someone is following me. Wherever I go, I see the same guy, and he always looks at me. Naruto frowned, his protective instincts kicking in instantly. Do you know who he is? Not really, Yuta, he replied, her voice calm but a little sharp. He looks pretty normal, but his gaze. It always seems weird. I've tried to ignore it, but it's everywhere, and it's getting annoying. Kang Lim pursed his lips and nodded. You should have told us about this earlier. We can't just sit back if someone is following you. Yuta sighed slightly, trying to remain calm. I thought it was just a coincidence, but he shows up every day. We can stay with you and see if he shows up again, Naruto suggested. Looking confidently at Yuta. If he does, we can talk to him and find out what he needs. Yuta lifted her chin slightly, her voice becoming a little sharper. I can take care of myself. But, thank you. It will be calmer if you are nearby. Kang Lim smiled, noticing her determination. Then it's agreed. We'll meet here after school and see if that guy shows up again. Preparing for surveillance. In the evening, they gathered in an empty hallway. Yuta tried to look casual, but it was clear that she was a little nervous. Naruto and Kang Lim took up positions so that they could see both sides of the hallway and be prepared for any eventuality. Are you sure you want to stay? Naruto asked quietly as they sat down behind a pillar across from Yuta. Yuta gave him a small smile, her face turning slightly pink. Don't worry, I'm not as helpless as I seem. But since you want to help, it won't hurt me. She lifted her chin slightly, giving herself confidence. Kang Lim chuckled, noticing her tsundere nature. We know how you can stand up for yourself. Just in case, we'll be there. A few minutes passed, and when Yuta was beginning to think that the guy wouldn't show up, she noticed him coming out from around the corner. The same stranger she had seen the last few days. His face was hidden in the shadows, and he was clearly looking for her with his eyes. It's him, Yuta whispered, trying to hide her slight excitement. Naruto and Kang Lim tensed up. Naruto felt a surge of adrenaline, his hands clenching into fists. Let's go, Naruto said and, coming out from behind the column, stood between Yuta and the stranger. Hey, he called, trying to speak calmly but firmly. What do you want from her? The guy stopped, his face frozen in surprise and fear. I just wanted to talk. Kang Lim came closer, his gaze serious. Don't you realize that your behavior is strange? You're stalking her, and this is no longer just a conversation. Yuta took a step forward, her expression becoming more stern. If you really wanted to talk, you could have done it like a normal person instead of following me. The guy was embarrassed, his voice began to tremble. Sorry. I just thought, if I was close, you would notice me. Yuta chuckled, her eyes glittering. Well, now we've noticed. And if you don't stop this, you'll be in trouble. I can take care of myself, so don't think you can intimidate me. The guy hesitated, his face turning red from embarrassment and fear. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. After saying that, he quickly turned around and ran away. Naruto and Kang Lim exchanged glances, feeling relieved. They noticed that Yuta was shaking slightly, but she remained confident. Returning to the club. When they returned to the club room, the atmosphere was a little tense, but everyone felt relieved after the incident. Naruto and Kang Lim decided that they needed to discuss how to prevent a similar situation from happening again. We need to think about security measures, Naruto said as they sat down at the table. If he shows up again, we need to be ready. Yuta smiled slightly, her face becoming calmer. Thank you for helping me. Although I can handle it on my own, I feel calmer knowing you're here. Park Young-ah, who came into the club while they were discussing, looked at them with interest. Hey, what happened? Why is the atmosphere so tense? Naruto and Kang Lim told her what happened and her face became serious. "You need to be careful," she said. "If someone is really after Yudahi, it's best not to leave her alone." "We've already decided that," Kang Lim smiled. "We'll support each other." Yudahi relaxed a little, her face glowing with gratitude. She looked at Naruto and Kang Lim, and a warmth flashed in her eyes. End of the day. At the end of the day, they went home, and Naruto felt that the day had been productive. He knew that he had found true friends who would be there for him and help him in difficult times. And Yudahi, he felt that behind her cute appearance, there was a strong and confident person who could stand up for herself. He smiled as he walked away, knowing that new adventures lay ahead. First Arc Chapter 6, In the Shadow of Doubt. After a tense encounter with a strange stranger who was following Yudahi, Naruto and his friends realized that the problem might be more serious than they thought. Returning to normal school life seemed impossible. Every step now came with the feeling that someone was watching them. The next day, Yudahi decided to put on a confident front, but Naruto knew that deep down, she was worried. Her tsundere side, as always, was hiding her true feelings. He respected her desire to appear strong, but he knew that they had to be there for each other if things went wrong again. Meeting at the club. After class, as usual, they headed to the club room. Kang Lim, always calm and collected, looked even more focused than usual. "We need to come up with a solid plan if this guy shows up again," he began, closing the door behind him and looking around at those present. Park Young-ah sat at the table with her arms crossed, ready to hear what they decided, and as always, her serious gaze inspired confidence. "That stalker, he might show up again," she added, looking at Yudahi. "I understand that you can stand up for yourself, but it could be dangerous." Yudahi frowned, casting a quick glance at her. "I already said that I can handle it. But I agree that it's better to be careful." Naruto, who was standing next to her, realized that this stalker had awakened Yudahi's hidden determination and protective instincts, although she tried not to show her nervousness. He noticed how her hand was shaking slightly, and decided to support her. "We'll decide together what to do," he said, looking at her carefully. "If he shows up, I'll be there." Kang Lim suggested creating a schedule so that they could keep an eye on Yudahi when she was alone. He suggested taking turns so that neither of them would get tired. "If each of us keeps watch next to Yudahi, we will be able to see when he appears and understand his intentions," he explained. Yudahi was silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. "Okay, but don't follow me around. I'm not a little girl and I don't want to feel like I'm being guarded." Naruto chuckled, noticing her cute protest. "Of course, you're the most independent one. But it's still better to be close, in case something happens." A day under observation. The next day, each of them chose a place next to Yudahi, so that he could discreetly monitor the situation, but not interfere with her. During class, Naruto sat a few rows away from her, glancing occasionally to see if there were any strangers nearby. The atmosphere was calm, but Naruto felt his instincts telling him to stay alert. During the break, Park Jong-ah replaced him, being in one of the corridors where the stalker usually appeared. At the end of the day, when Naruto and Yudahi headed for the exit, Kang Lim joined them. "It looks like he didn't show up today," Kang Lim noted, looking around the hallway. "Maybe he realized he was being followed." Yudahi nodded, but her face showed that her uneasiness had not disappeared. "Perhaps, but I still feel a little uneasy." "We'll keep watching," Naruto assured her. "It's best to stay alert." Unexpected encounter. As they were about to leave the school building, they noticed a strange figure at the exit. The stranger appeared again. He was looking straight at Yudahi, his gaze full of determination. Yudahi frowned, her face hardening. She walked up to him, determined to find out what he wanted. "Are you following me again?" she asked, looking him straight in the eye. Her voice was firm, and in that moment her true personality showed through. The stranger hesitated, then collected his thoughts and said, I just wanted to meet you. You always look so confident and beautiful. I thought if I was around, you'd notice me. He blushed slightly at his words, but tried not to show her embarrassment. Following me is not a way to get to know me. You're only scaring me. The guy hesitated, his face became embarrassed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's better for you to leave and not follow me anymore, he said firmly. Naruto, who was standing nearby, added, if we see you around again, we'll contact the teachers. The boy didn't answer and quickly left, leaving them standing in the hallway. Naruto and Kang Lim felt relieved when he disappeared from sight. Returning to the club room, they discussed what had happened. Park Young-ah listened to them and nodded in agreement. It was tense, she noted. But now we have a plan. We have to stay prepared. He sat down at the table and sighed, her face becoming calmer. Thank you guys. I didn't know it would be this hard. We're a team, Naruto said, smiling. We're always here for you. First Arc Chapter 7, Friend Support. The stalker incident left a deep mark not only on Yudahi, but also on all of her friends in the club. The day after the encounter, they gathered in the club room to discuss their next steps. Yudahi, Park Young-ah, Kang Lim, Naruto, and Shin Yun-soo sat around the table, ready to have a serious talk. Club meeting. Shin Yong-soo, as usual, was acting eccentrically and speaking in a Chungnibyo manner, which eased the tension a little, but this time, there was real concern hidden in his words. A host of enemies surrounds us, he said, looking at Yudahi with determination. But fear not, O princess. Your faithful knight is ready to protect you until his last breath. Yudahi blushed and pulled away slightly, trying to hide her embarrassment. That's enough, Yun-soo, she muttered, but the smile on her face showed that she appreciated his support. Yun-soo, let's be serious, Kang Lim said, but his face was softer than usual. We need to decide what to do next. This guy might come back, and we need to be prepared. Park Jong-ah nodded, her face showing concern. If he has an obsession with Yudahi, he might not leave her alone. We have to be on guard. Naruto, sitting next to Yudahi, watched everyone carefully. He knew that her friend's support was important to her, especially in such a difficult situation. We can try talking to him again, but this time it has to be clear and concise, Naruto suggested. Yudahi can let him know she's not interested, and will be there to make sure he doesn't cause any trouble. Preparing for the meeting. After much discussion, they decided that Yudahi would agree to talk to the stalker, but this time she would not be alone. Kang Lim and Naruto devised a strategy where they could observe the conversation from afar while remaining prepared. Shin Young-soo was delighted with the idea, he was ready to save the princess and added that he would stand between her and any shadow. Park Jong-ah held back a smile as she watched his enthusiasm. That's great, but remember, this time it has to be calm, she reminded. We're here to help, not to create more chaos. Yudahi looked determined, but Naruto noticed that her fingers were trembling slightly. Her confidence was real, but she felt the pressure of the situation. He leaned towards her and said quietly. We're here, don't worry. You're not alone. Yudahi gave him a grateful look and nodded. Conversation with the stalker. When they met the next day at school, everyone was ready. The stalker appeared in the hallway again, as if he was waiting for her. Yudahi, with a firm look, walked towards him, and her friends were nearby, observing the situation. Have you come again? She asked coldly, stopping in front of him. We've already said that your behavior frightens me. The guy was a little embarrassed, but pulled himself together and began to speak. I just want to help you. I know that you need support, that you hide your true feelings from everyone. Yudahi interrupted him, her voice sharp, you don't know me. And I don't need your help. If you really respect me, stop following me. Yudahi's words were harsh but honest, and it seemed to have confused him. He hadn't expected such confidence. Shin Yong-soo, watching from around the corner, whispered to Naruto, "Just give me a sign and I'm ready to rush onto the battlefield." Naruto chuckled and replied, "Hang in there for now. She's doing fine." The stalker paused for a moment, apparently considering her words, but then stepped back, slightly confused. He realized that his idea of her was wrong, and left without saying a word. Summing up. When they returned to the club room, Park Young-ah looked at Yudahi and said respectfully, "You did everything you could. I don't think he'll bother you anymore." Yudahi breathed a sigh of relief, feeling like a weight had been lifted from her heart. "Thank you, everyone. I didn't think it would be this hard. But I couldn't have done it without you." Shin Yun-soo said proudly, "That was truly heroic. You showed a fortitude worthy of a great princess." Everyone laughed and the tension gradually subsided. They realized that their friendship had become stronger and that no matter what happened, they were ready to support each other. First Arc Chapter 8, Dangerous Encounter and Rescue. After meeting the stalker, where Yudahi made it clear that she was not interested in communicating, it seemed like everything was over. She felt relieved, and her friends believed that the situation was resolved. But no one suspected that for the stalker, this was only the beginning. The beginning of disturbing events. In recent days, Yudahi felt calmer and tried not to remember the unpleasant events. However, Naruto, Kang Lim, and the other members of the club remained on guard. They knew that it was too early to relax, since the stalker could suddenly appear again. Shin Yun-soo often stayed with Yudahi, making sure that she was not alone. One evening, as Yudahi was walking home after school, she noticed a shadow passing by on the street corner. Her heart began to beat faster, but she tried to calm down. However, her fear grew as she noticed the shadow approaching again. She quickened her pace, but the shadow also began to move faster. She recognized a familiar silhouette. It was him, her pursuer. He looked different, his face was distorted with anger and determination. "Why are you running away?" His voice rang out. "I just want to be near you. I need you." Yudahi felt a chill run down her spine. She knew it was useless to run, but it was also dangerous to confront him alone. She tried to pick up her phone and text her friends, but her hands were shaking with fear. Friends interfere. Meanwhile, Naruto, Kang Lim, Park Young-ah, and Shin Yun-soo were in the club room discussing how to keep Yudahi safe. At one point, Naruto seemed to sense something was wrong. "We need to check if Yudahi is okay," he said, taking out his phone. "I think she might be in danger." Kang Lim nodded, his face turning serious. "You're right. We shouldn't leave her alone, especially after he showed up again." They quickly dialed her number, but there was no answer. Everyone became restless and decided to immediately head to where Yudahi might be. Dangerous encounter. Yudahi tried to keep her distance from the stalker, but he kept coming closer. She turned to him, trying to look confident. "That's enough," she said, her voice shaking but trying to keep it together. "Do you realize you're scaring me? Why can't you just leave me alone?" The stalker stopped, his gaze intense. "Because you're everything to me. I can't just let you walk away like I'm not important to you. It doesn't matter. You have no right to follow me. This is my life," Yudahi said firmly, but her words only spurred him on. The stalker took a step forward, his voice becoming threatening. "You don't understand how much I need you. If you're not with me, I won't let anyone near you." Yudahi was scared, feeling like the situation was getting out of control. But at that moment, she heard quick footsteps, and Naruto, Kang Lim, and the others ran up to her. "Hey!" Naruto shouted, stepping between her and her pursuer. "You heard what she said. Leave her alone." The stalker froze for a moment, seeing that she was not alone. His face was distorted with anger, but he realized that there was a whole group against him now. "You all just don't understand," he shouted. "She needs me more than any of you." Kang Lim and Shin Yun-soo also stood next to Naruto, showing that they were ready to protect Yuta-He at any cost. "One more step towards her and you will regret it," Kang Lim said coldly, his eyes flashing with anger. The stalker took a step back, realizing that he was no match for the group. Naruto kept his eyes on him, feeling the rage rising in him from the desire to protect his friend. "You may think that she needs you, but she made it clear that she doesn't want you around," Naruto said, his voice firm. Yuta-He, feeling the support of her friends, gained the strength to face her stalker. "You must understand that your actions are dangerous and unacceptable," she said, her voice calm but determined. The police arrive. While the guys were keeping the situation under control, one of the passers-by, noticing what was happening, called the police. The police soon arrived and quickly detained the stalker. He tried to resist, but the police did not give him a chance. Yuta-He finally breathed a sigh of relief as the stalker was taken away. She turned to her friends, her eyes full of gratitude and relief. "Thank you," she said quietly, feeling a huge weight lifted from her shoulders. "I don't know how I would have managed without you." Naruto smiled, placing his hand on her shoulder. "We're always here for you. You're not alone." Shin Yun-soo, as usual, added in his usual manner, "The princess was saved by her loyal knights. The evil has been defeated, and all enemies have retreated." Everyone laughed, the tension gradually subsided. They realized that their support and unity made them stronger. End of the first arc. Later, back in the club room, they summed up the events. Park Young-ah noted that their friendship had become even stronger, and that now each of them could trust each other without looking back. "No matter what happens, we will always support each other," she said, her eyes shining with confidence. Yuta-He nodded, her face expressing gratitude. "Thank you all. I didn't know I could count on such support." Naruto felt a warmth spread through him as he realized that he was part of this tight-knit group. He was ready to continue to protect his friends, knowing that they would always be there for him. The chapter was over, but they knew that new adventures lay ahead. Second arc Chapter 1, Secrets of a Gamer. Time passed, and the classroom was filled with the usual atmosphere. Naruto and his friends had not yet forgotten about the recent events with Yuta-He stalker, but life was gradually returning to normal. Kang Lim, as always, seemed focused and calm, and Shin Yong-soo, with his usual enthusiasm, continued to act eccentrically, calling himself a Knight of Darkness. But it was on this day that an event occurred at school that attracted the attention of the entire team. In the hallway where students usually gathered between classes, Naruto and his friends overheard animated conversations about the new student, Sirin. She was said to have incredible skills in games, and was nicknamed the Gamer Miracle. Naruto, who was not indifferent to intrigue, became interested and headed to the game room, where she could be found. When he and Kang Lim entered, they saw a girl with short pink hair, dressed in a stylish t-shirt and jeans. Her eyes were focused on the screen, her fingers flicking across the keys with astonishing speed, and her classmates gathered around her, admiring her game. Sirin was engrossed in the game, oblivious to the people around her. Her focus and ability to instantly react to everything on the screen impressed Naruto and Kang Lim. Their interest grew, especially when they noticed how some students tried to approach her, but she remained focused on the game and ignored all attempts to talk to her. "This girl clearly knows what she's doing," Naruto noted as he watched her play. "She's got some serious skill. She doesn't seem to like attracting attention," Kang Lim commented, pointing to those who tried to talk to her but only received a cold stare in return. Naruto remembered his own trials when he was alone and how hard it was for him to open up to people. He knew that there could be more behind that outer shell. First meeting. When the game finally ended and Sirin lowered her hands. Naruto decided to approach her. He carefully approached her, and when she raised her head, he felt that her gaze was somewhat cold and distant. "Hey, Sirin, right? I'm Naruto, and this is my friend, Kang Lim. We just wanted to say that you're an impressive player," he began with a friendly smile. Sirin glanced at them, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, but she kept her seriousness. "Thank you. I'm just playing for myself. I don't like unnecessary attention," she said in a restrained voice. "I understand," Kang Lim nodded. "But you're clearly a master of your craft. If you need a place to play in peace, we have a club. We could become a team, if you're interested." Sirin softened a little, her gaze becoming less intense. "Perhaps," she replied, slightly embarrassed, as if she hadn't expected such a proposal. "Think about it," Naruto said. "We're having fun, and no one will distract you if you don't want to." And at that moment, when they started talking, Naruto noticed how several of the boys from the class started to gather around, trying to approach Sirin. Her playful behavior in the game gave some of them confidence, and they wanted to get to know her better. "Hey, you were at the tournament, right?" one of her classmates asked, trying to get her attention. "I'll say right away that Sirin isn't particularly famous here. That's why she might not be recognized right away." Sirin turned to him reluctantly, her face unyielding. "Yes, I played, but I don't think it was anything important." Naruto, noticing her discomfort, decided to intervene. "That was actually quite impressive. Maybe if she agrees, she'll tell you about her victories." Sirin gave him a grateful look, and a feeling of understanding passed between them. She realized that Naruto was supporting her, even if she didn't realize it. First hint of trouble. However, as the conversation continued, Naruto noticed that Sirin was becoming more and more withdrawn. There was a look of worry and anxiety in her eyes. He couldn't help but notice how she would occasionally glance around, as if she was expecting someone or something. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly as the rest of the club began to retreat. Sirin thought for a moment, then sighed slightly and said, "Sometimes when I play, it becomes more than just a hobby. There are things that can overshadow your game when you get into a world where things aren't so simple." "What do you mean?" Kang Lim asked, noticing that her tone had become serious. Sirin looked at them cautiously and, collecting her thoughts, continued, "In the gaming world, there are sometimes unfair games. People use fixed matches to manipulate players and make money. I heard that many people are falling for this now." Naruto and Kang Lim exchanged glances, realizing that Sirin was dealing with something more serious than just a gaming hobby. He sensed that she needed support, but he didn't know how to offer it. "If you want to talk about it, we can help," Naruto said, looking into her eyes. "You're not alone." Sirin was embarrassed, her face turning red for a moment. She wasn't used to sharing her problems, and this was a new experience for her. Light moments of intimacy. As they talked, Sirin gradually began to relax and even smile, seeing how sincerely Naruto and Kang Lim wanted to help her. They were walking down the school hallway when suddenly Naruto tripped over something on the floor and accidentally bumped into Sirin while trying to keep his balance. She stepped back, but then laughed. "Don't worry," she said, noticing his confusion. "I'm already used to surprises in games." Naruto, blushing slightly, smiled back. Their communication became a little easier, and Sirin finally felt like she could trust her new friends. "You could tell me about your favorite games," Kang Lim suggested, trying to keep the conversation going. "Maybe we should play together?" Sirin thought for a moment, and then, feeling like she could open up, she replied, "I like to play strategy games where you have to make plans and outwit your opponents. It helps me focus and forget about my problems." Naruto and Kang Lim listened with interest, immersed in her story. Sirin gradually revealed her interests and hobbies, and the atmosphere in the room became more and more friendly. Chapter 1 Conclusion. As they left the playroom, Naruto felt something had changed in their company. Sirin, who had seemed distant and closed off, was beginning to show her true nature. He knew that together they could help her overcome her problems. But when Sirin disappeared around the corner, Naruto suddenly felt a slight uneasiness. He knew that her story was not over yet, and that new trials lay ahead of them. He was ready to support her, despite all the obstacles that might arise along the way. Second Arc Chapter 2, Deal with the Broker. After Naruto and his friends met Sirin, she slowly began to open up. Their friendship grew stronger, and each of them realized that Sirin had secrets of her own that she was not yet ready to talk about. But one question continued to bother everyone: her connection with the broker. Sirin reappeared in the club room, her face showing determination but her eyes still holding something hidden. She walked over to the table where Naruto, Kang Lim, and Part-1 were sitting and sat down next to them. "I think it's time I met with the broker," she began, trying to sound confident, although her voice was shaking a little. "I need to find out what's going on with the match fixing. It's important to me." Kang Lim, listening to her attentively, nodded. "We are ready to help. But you understand that this could be dangerous, right? A broker is not someone to whom you just talk." Sirin sighed, her face turning serious. "I know. But if I don't, my reputation will be ruined and I won't be able to continue doing what I love." "You're not alone," Naruto interjected, trying to support her. "We'll be there to protect you if anything goes wrong." Sirin smiled, feeling the support she had been looking for. "Thank you. This is important to me. I didn't expect to meet such good friends here." They started to formulate a plan. Kang Lim suggested that they all go to meet broker together. He knew that it would not only help Sirin, but the entire team, since everyone would have each other's backs. "If he sees that you have support, he might be less aggressive," Kang Lim said. "But be careful, the broker can manipulate people and is always one step ahead." Sirin nodded, realizing that this step would be a risk. "I understand. Let's meet him in a safe place. How about a cafe?" Park-jong-ah suggested. "It'll be neutral territory, and we'll have a place to retreat if things go wrong." "That's a great idea," Naruto agreed. "Let's set up a meeting for tomorrow so we have time to prepare." The next day, the team met at a cafe that was located near the school. The atmosphere was casual, the aroma of coffee and freshly baked pastries filled the air, and a light murmur filled the room as people discussed their business. Sirin sat at a table with Naruto and Kang Lim, while Park-jong-ah kept an eye on the surroundings. "Are you nervous?" Naruto asked, noticing how Sirin kept glancing at the door. "A little," she admitted, rubbing her hands. "I don't know how he'll react to us." "We're here to support you," Kang Lim reminded. "But before you share information, we need to know what we're getting into." At that moment, broker walked into the cafe. He looked confident, and his eyes showed indifference to those around him. Sirin felt her heart pound as he walked toward their table. "Hello, Sirin," he said with a smile that seemed forced to her. "Good to see you. Are you ready to discuss business?" Sirin nodded, but her voice shook as she said, "Yes, I need to know about the match fixing. People say you can help." The broker narrowed his eyes slightly, as if assessing her. "This is dangerous business, little gamer. Are you sure you're ready for this?" Naruto, who was sitting next to him, felt the tension build up. He looked at Sirin and nodded, letting her know that she could speak openly. "I want to know the truth," Sirin said, trying to sound determined. "My reputation is on the line, and I'm not going to let anyone ruin it." The broker chuckled, his interest clearly heightened. "Then you could be in trouble. Fixing matches isn't just a game. There's big money involved, and those involved don't like it when someone digs into their affairs." Naruto and Kang Lim looked at each other, realizing that this could be a serious test. They couldn't let Sirin get into a dangerous situation. "We can help with that," Kang Lim said, leaning forward slightly. But before you share information, we need to know what we're getting into. The broker chuckled, but then said, okay, I'll tell you, but only if you're willing to pay the price. I have information, but it costs. Are you willing to know the truth? Sirin took a deep breath and began to share her story. She talked about how she was suspected of cheating, the pressure from the community, and how hard it was to restore her reputation. Her words were full of emotion, and Naruto, listening to her, understood how important this was to her. As the conversation continued, Sirin gradually began to relax and even smile, seeing how sincerely Naruto and Kang Lim wanted to help her. However, when Sirin spoke of her love for games, her face suddenly darkened. But sometimes it can be dangerous. I've heard about the rigged matches that players talk about. They ruin everything and can cause harm. Naruto, sensing that the conversation was taking a dark turn, asked, you mean that someone could use games to cheat? Yes, exactly, she confirmed. And I don't want to be a victim. This is more than just a game to me. I want to be taken seriously, but right now my reputation is at stake. Kang Lim looked at Sirin with understanding. If you want, we can help you sort out this situation. But we need to know everything you know. As they left the playroom, Naruto felt something had changed in their company. Sirin, who had seemed distant and closed off, was beginning to show her true nature. He knew that together they could help her overcome her problems. But when Sirin disappeared around the corner, Naruto suddenly felt a slight uneasiness. He knew that her story was not over yet, and that new trials lay ahead of them. He was ready to support her, despite all the obstacles that might arise along the way. Second Arc Chapter 3. Over the next few days, the team continued to discuss the situation with Broker, and Sirin felt like she was making real friends who would support her in her time of need. After meeting Broker, she seemed to become closer to Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Young-ah, and their friendship grew stronger. However, there was still a worry in her heart. The broker was not revealing the whole truth, and Sirin could not shake the feeling that he was manipulating them. She constantly wondered if she could really trust him, or if this was just another game on his part. One day after school, when they were all gathered in the club room again, Sirin decided it was time to talk to her friends about her fears. She looked at them, realizing that they had become more than just playmates, but real friends. Hey, guys, she began, her voice a little hesitant. I'd like to talk about Broker. I know he offered us information, but I think he's hiding something. Kang Lim sat closer and listened attentively. I also noticed that he doesn't reveal the whole truth. He has his own interests, and he won't just share information if it doesn't benefit him. Yes, Park Jong-ah agreed. His behavior is alarming. I don't want you to fall into a trap. Sirin sighed, feeling the tension slowly drain away. She knew she could speak openly to them. I never thought I could trust anyone the way I trust you. Games have always been my way of coping, but now I need your help. Naruto, sensing that this moment was important, said softly, you can tell us about your past if you want. We're here to support you. Sirin nodded and, having collected her thoughts, began to tell how her passion for games began. She remembered how as a child she often played alone, running away from problems and loneliness. The virtual world was her salvation, where she could be anyone and do anything. I always felt better when I was playing, she continued. But then I started to face real difficulties in the gaming community. When I was suspected of cheating, it was a real blow. I lost the trust of the players, and I felt very lonely. Her voice shook, but she continued, feeling her friends listening attentively. I always thought I could handle this alone, but now I realize I have real support. I don't want to hide from people anymore. Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Young-ah exchanged glances, and their eyes showed support. Kang Lim, full of determination, said, we are with you, and you are not alone. We will help you restore your reputation and deal with the broker. Sirin felt a weight lift from her heart. She knew they would not leave her in trouble. After the frank conversation, a sense of unity arose between them, and they became closer to each other. At this time, in the cafe where they often met, Broker met them again. He looked confident, his dark glasses hid his eyes, but there was something sinister in his smile. Sirin felt fear creeping up on her again. "Hello, team. How are you?" he asked, looking at them with narrowed eyes. "Ready to discuss our affairs?" Sirin clenched her fists, feeling anger boiling inside her. She knew that Broker could manipulate them, and realizing this, she took a step forward. "We want to know the truth, Broker. If you're going to share information, let's do it openly," she said, trying to sound confident. The Broker grinned and looked at her with interest. "Oh, you've become more confident. I like that. But remember, there's a lot hidden in our business. It's not that simple." Sirin nodded, her voice firm. "I'm ready to know the truth. I'm not afraid." At that moment, the sound of a door opening was heard in the cafe. A group of people that Sirin recognized entered. They were from her past, when she was just starting her career in games. They looked at her with disdain, and Sirin felt fear creeping up on her. The Broker noticed her reaction and chuckled. "It looks like we have a little problem here. Sometimes people come to the right place at the wrong time." Naruto, sensing the tension, stood next to Sirin. "We won't let anyone bully her. If they want something, they need to know that we won't let them do it." The guy in the group chuckled. "What are you going to do?" "We just want to talk." Kang Lim came closer, his voice cold. "If you don't leave, you'll have to answer for your words. We won't tolerate this behavior." The situation was heating up, and everyone knew that a conflict was brewing. The Broker watched with interest, but his face remained calm. He knew that this could backfire on everyone if the situation got out of control. Sirin took a step forward, her voice firm. "I'm not going to be a victim, and you can't control me. I choose my own path." Suddenly, the group of people retreated, realizing that their manipulations would not work on Sirin, and began to leave, giving her angry looks. As they left the cafe, Naruto and Kang Lim sighed in relief. The Broker, watching this with interest, said, "It looks like you really need protection, Sirin. Good luck with that." After this, he stood up and left the cafe, leaving the team wondering what had happened. Sirin felt gratitude welling up inside her. She knew that her new friends were there to support her, and that was important to her. She knew that there would be new challenges ahead, but she felt stronger with her friends. At that moment, when Sirin returned to Naruto and the others, she realized that she had found her team and friends that she could rely on. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, full of determination and support. Second Arc Chapter 4. When Sirin returned to her friends after her conversation with Broker, she felt a fire of determination burning in her soul. She knew that with them she would not be afraid of difficulties, and she was ready to fight for her dreams. New challenges lay ahead, but now Sirin knew she was not alone. She felt she had found a real team that would support her at any moment. When they gathered again in the club room, the atmosphere was full of joy and friendship. Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Young-ah surrounded Sirin, and they continued to discuss their plans for the future. "Maybe we could have a tournament together?" Naruto suggested, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "It would be fun, and we could all have fun." Sirin smiled. "That would be great. I'm ready to try something new." Park Jong-ah added, "I can do the organizing. We can invite other students to make it more interesting." Kang Lim looked at them with satisfaction. "That's a great idea. But let's make some rules so that everything is fair." Sirin felt her confidence continue to grow. Her friends were there, and it gave her strength. They discussed the details of the tournament, and laughter filled the room, creating an atmosphere of friendship and support. As they continued to talk about their plans, Serin realized that she was not afraid of difficulties when she had such a team. Watching their interactions, she realized how important this support was to her. A few days passed and preparations for the tournament were in full swing. The team gathered in the club room, discussing the rules and formats of the competition. Naruto, always enthusiastic, suggested, "Let's make it interesting. We can create different categories, for example, team battles, single battles, and even strategy game tournaments. This will allow everyone to show their strengths." "I agree," Serin exclaimed. "This will give everyone a chance to show off their skills. I want to try my hand against you." Park Jong-ah, writing down all the ideas, looked at them with a smile. "We'll have to think of prizes for the winners. That'll add a little excitement." Kang Lim, knowing that all of his friends had different talents, added, "Maybe something related to games? Like coupons for free game sets or souvenirs from their favorite games." "Great idea." Naruto supported him. "That would be great." Serin, feeling herself becoming more and more immersed in the atmosphere of fun, said, "I can make a special trophy for the winner. I like to create things with my own hands." With each new offer, their friendship grew stronger. They worked together, discussed the details of the tournament, and each time, laughter and joy filled the room. Serin felt at home, and the experience encouraged her. Everything was going well, but she couldn't help but wonder how the broker would react to their success. He had promised to give them information, but she knew his true intentions were still in question. Every time Serin thought about it, her heart would tremble, but the support of her friends helped her cope with these feelings. One day, when they were gathered in the club room, Serin decided to share her thoughts with her friends. "I can't help but think about the broker and what he might be planning. Even though he helped us, I still have my doubts," she said, looking at Naruto and Kang Lim. Naruto, after listening to her carefully, said, "You're right, Serin. We can't trust him completely. But we have each other, and we can handle any difficulties together." Kang Lim added, "Yes, if he tries to harm you, we will be there to protect you. We are a team, and together we are stronger." Serin felt her heart fill with warmth. She knew that these words were sincere, and that was what gave her strength. "Thank you, guys. I feel like I can trust you. It means a lot to me," she said, smiling. The next day, the school began preparing for the tournament. Serin felt excited when she saw her new classmates coming to the event, discussing the rules and smiling at each other. It was like a celebration. That day, everyone was gathered in the gym. The walls were decorated with posters of the games, and the atmosphere was filled with excitement and anticipation. Serin, standing next to Naruto and Kang Lim, felt her heart beat faster. "Everything is ready," Naruto said, looking at his watch. "Time to begin." As they began the tournament, Serin felt the tension drain away. She saw her friends performing on stage and felt their support giving her confidence. When she herself stepped onto the field, her thoughts were only about showing off and proving that she was trustworthy. After several intense matches and some fun moments when Naruto won one of the rounds, Serin realized that she found joy in this process. Each of them became part of something bigger than just a game. This was the beginning of a new friendship, a real team. As the day wore on and everything became clearer, Serin felt her fears slowly fade away. She knew her path would not be easy, but with friends like these, she felt like she could overcome any obstacle. When they finished their last match, Naruto walked up to her with a wide smile. "We did it, Serin. You're amazing." Serin felt her heart fill with joy as she laughed. "Thank you. I was so happy to be a part of this." Kang Lim, joining the conversation, said, "I'm proud that we're all together. This is just the beginning." Serin, looking at her friends, realized that she really had found her team. They became her support, and now she is ready to move on, knowing that there will be trials along the way, but with her friends by her side, she can cope with anything. As the next day approached, when they would meet the broker again, Sirin knew that she had what it took to overcome any difficulties. This was a new beginning, full of hope and possibility. Chapter 5. Sirin felt her life gradually improving after becoming part of a new class and a strong team. Together with Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Jong-ah, they became a real team capable of facing any difficulties. Every day passed in an atmosphere of friendship and fun, and Sirin became more and more convinced that she had finally found her place. But her sense of security was deceptive. One day, when Sirin didn't show up at school, her friends started to worry. Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Jong-ah exchanged glances, realizing that her absence was not a coincidence. They tried calling her, sending her messages, but all attempts to contact her were unsuccessful. "This isn't like her at all," Naruto said, looking worriedly at the phone. "She seemed normal yesterday. Something's wrong." Kang Lim frowned, remembering how wary Sirin had been in recent days. "We know she's had a lot of reputation issues and threats. Maybe someone is after her." Park Jong-ah clenched her fists, not hiding her anxiety. "Maybe she was kidnapped by the same person who fixes the matches. We know that broker doesn't want anyone to know about his business." Deciding not to waste a minute, the team began to figure out what could have happened. They tried to find out from their classmates and acquaintances if anyone had seen Sirin, but no one knew anything. After several hours of searching in vain, Naruto remembered that broker had recently mentioned the importance of keeping their mouth shut in their last conversation. "Broker," Naruto said suddenly, shaking his fist. "He said he was willing to do anything to protect his interests. He probably decided that Sirin was a threat to him." Kang Lim thought for a moment and said, "If that's the case, he might have been trying to intimidate her, but it seems like it went much further." "We need to find out where he might be keeping her," Park Jong-ah said. "If we know his location, we can save her." The team began to develop a plan to rescue Sirin. Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Jong-ah quickly organized a search, using all their resources to find out where the broker might be keeping Sirin. They managed to contact several people they knew in the gaming community, hoping that someone had noticed something suspicious. "I have a contact who once worked with the broker," Kang Lim said, scanning the messages on his phone. "He knows a couple of places where the broker might do business. We could check them out." "Let's go," Naruto said decisively. "The sooner we start, the better the chances of finding her safe and sound." The first place they went to was an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. At first, the building seemed empty and quiet, but as they got closer, Park Jong-ah heard the sound of footsteps and muffled voices from the depths of the warehouse. "Quiet, guys," she whispered, stepping forward cautiously. "This could be a trap." They moved along the corridors of the warehouse, guided by sounds. Soon a room opened up in front of them, where several people were discussing something in the semi-darkness. Among them was the broker himself, looking more menacing than usual. Naruto, trying to contain his anger, whispered to his friends, "It's him. He's here, and he clearly has plans." They stepped aside to strategize. Deciding to proceed cautiously, Kang Lim suggested that they distract the broker and his men so that one of them could get through to Sirin. "Park Jong-ah, stay here in case something goes wrong," Naruto said, and turning to Kang Lim, he added, "You and I will try to enter. If we see that we can free Sirin, we will act immediately." Kang Lim nodded and they walked forward together. They moved quietly through the warehouse, trying not to attract attention to themselves. The voices became clearer. Soon they noticed a dim light burning behind one of the doors. As they approached, they saw a broker, standing surrounded by his henchmen, talking. "Sirin knows too much," he said loudly. "If the information gets out, it could ruin all our plans. She can't be left unattended." Naruto clenched his fists and exchanged glances with Kang Lim. It was clear to them that there was no time to think. Okay, time to act, Naruto whispered. You distract them, and I'll try to find where they're keeping Sirin. Kang Lim nodded, carefully entered the illuminated room and said loudly. Hey, broker. Long time no see. I heard you like fixing matches, but I didn't think you'd go this far. Everyone in the room turned to look at him. The broker frowned and came closer, clearly annoyed by his appearance. Kang Lim? What are you doing here? It's none of your business, so get lost. Oh, that's right, Kang Lim replied with a chuckle. I just thought you didn't like fair play either. Or is it that someone finally figured out how you manipulate everyone? Kang Lim has a loop in this plot, like in canon. But so far everything is going according to the script. Chapter 6. Naruto frantically tried to open the lock on the door where Sirin was being held. He knew that time was short, and judging by the voices coming from far away, Kang Lim was managing to distract the broker and his men. He could only hope that their ruse would work long enough. Naruto? Sirin said anxiously from inside. Please hurry, they might have worse plans. I'm here, Sirin. Almost got it open, Naruto assured her, feeling for the weak spot of the lock and finally opening the door with a loud click. When the door opened, Naruto saw Sirin. She looked exhausted, but a glimmer of hope lit up her eyes when she noticed Naruto. Thank you, she breathed, hugging him for a moment. I didn't know if I could get out of here. You're safe now. Let's get out of here before they notice you're gone, Naruto said, hugging her back and quietly leading her down the dark hallway back to the exit. Meanwhile, Kang Lim continued to have a distracting conversation with Broker, trying his best to keep him on edge. If you have any questions about where Yudahi is, she is sick and stayed home. Yudahi's little sister is looking after her. Her name is Yunari. She is my favorite Yandere girl of the title. She will appear in the next part, if you like my plot of course. You know, Broker, you talk so much about your power, but you don't seem to realize that you're going to have problems with us soon, Kang Lim said with a slight grin. The broker came closer, looking at him intently, narrowing his eyes. Are you so confident in your friends? Do you think they will help you out of this situation? Or maybe you are here alone, like a fool, to play the hero? Oh, I'm sure we have everything under control, Kang Lim replied, casting a quick glance at the door Naruto and Sirin were about to exit through. The broker finally noticed his gaze and realized what was happening. His face contorted with anger. You've created a diversion, he exclaimed, nodding to his henchmen. Find them, immediately. Kang Lim knew he had to keep their attention as long as possible. As the broker's henchmen moved toward the corridor, he took a few steps back, pretending to give up. Wait. Aren't you curious about what I can offer in exchange for my freedom? Kang Lim said, playing for time. But his trick didn't work. Broker's henchmen rushed to the corridor where Naruto and Sirin had just disappeared. No way! Kang Lim shouted and, gathering all his determination, rushed after him, intending to help his friends. As Naruto and Sirin were about to reach the exit, they heard shouts and footsteps of people approaching. Naruto stopped, looking back, and saw the broker's henchmen heading towards them. Let's run, faster, he said, squeezing Sirin's hand tighter and rushing towards the exit. Kang Lim, meanwhile, appeared from the corridor and, noticing the approaching people, realized that he needed to buy time for his friends. He rushed towards broker's henchmen, bravely blocking their path. You shall not pass, he shouted, standing up to defend himself. The henchmen stopped, looked at each other, but had no intention of retreating. Get out of here before it's too late. Kang Lim ordered them, trying to suppress their growing fear. But they didn't listen and rushed towards him, intending to get him out of the way. At this point, Park Jong-ah, who had been hanging back in case the situation got out of hand, rushed to Kang Lim's aid. She stood next to him, ready to hold off the attackers and give Naruto and Sirin time to escape the building. "We won't let you stop us," she said firmly, looking at Broker's henchmen. The boldness of her words seemed to stun the opponents, and Kang Lim and Park Young-ah began to fight back in order to delay them as long as possible. Meanwhile, Naruto and Sirin finally reached the exit. Looking back, Naruto saw his friends trying their best to protect them. "Park Chung-ah, Kang Lim," he called. "Quickly, to the exit." But Park Chung-ah waved her hand, indicating that they should continue running. "Go. We can handle this. Make sure Sirin is safe," she shouted. Naruto, realizing that his friends were risking their lives to save them, gritted his teeth and nodded. He pulled Sirin along with him, deciding to get out of the warehouse and call for help. Naruto and Sirin rushed outside, but stopped, looking at the dark windows of the warehouse where their friends were left. Sirin glanced around nervously, feeling a dull sense of guilt for forcing them to take such a risk. "We can't leave them," she said quietly, trying to hold back her tears. "They're there for me. I can't go and abandon them." Naruto, seeing her tension, knew that two feelings were fighting inside him, the desire to protect his friends and the need to keep Sirin safe. He took her by the shoulders and looked into her eyes. "Sirin, they knew what they were doing. We're taking a risk too. Let's find a safe place and come back for them right away," he said firmly, trying to convince her and himself. Sirin nodded, feeling that there was no other way out, and together they headed towards the nearest abandoned building where they could watch the warehouse unnoticed. The walk was short, but filled with anxiety. They both couldn't help but think that their friends might be trapped now. Naruto looked at Sirin, breathing heavily. "I promise, we'll come back. But if we have to sneak back inside, we'd better figure out how to do it unnoticed. We need to go around the building to find another entrance," Sirin suggested. "Maybe there's a back door or a window we can use to enter unnoticed." They walked back to the warehouse carefully, following the wall, trying not to make a sound. When they reached the back of the building, Naruto noticed a small window, barely covered with bars. He looked up and, after nodding encouragingly to Sirin, decided to try opening it. "Hold me," he asked, standing on the ledge and pulling himself up to the window. Sirin held onto the wall tightly, supporting him as he struggled to break the bars. Finally, with a slight crunch, they gave way, and Naruto was able to open the window. He helped Sirin climb inside, and they found themselves in a dark, damp-smelling room where they could temporarily hide without being noticed. "Let's find where they might be," Naruto whispered, helping her down. "We'll stay close and move quietly." Sirin nodded, and they stepped into the hallway, listening for sounds. Muffled voices could be heard from deep within the warehouse. It could be Kang Lim and Park Chung-ah, trying to fight off Broker's men. The deeper they went, the more they realized the danger of their undertaking. Every rustle seemed threatening, and every step could give away their presence. A few minutes later they reached the main corridor and Naruto heard familiar voices. He carefully peeked around the corner and saw that Kang Lim and Park Young-ah were still holding off the onslaught of the Broker's henchmen, fighting back as best they could. Sirin stood frozen next to them, watching her friend's desperate struggle. She was ready to rush to their aid, but she knew they wouldn't be able to cope if they revealed themselves now. "We need a plan," she whispered. "We can't just get them out of here." Naruto nodded and an idea came to him. He looked around and noticed several metal crates and boxes scattered around that could be thrown down, creating noise and distracting the enemy. "If we make a noise over there, they'll think someone's coming to help from the other side," he explained, pointing to the corner of the warehouse. "That'll give Kang Lim and Park Young-ah a chance to get out." Sirin nodded and they began to carefully move the boxes, trying not to attract attention. When everything was ready, Naruto and Sirin exchanged glances. Taking a metal rod, Naruto hit the boxes with force, creating a loud hum that echoed throughout the warehouse. The echo made the Broker's men wary. They exchanged glances, clearly confused by the unexpected sound. "What was that?" one of them exclaimed irritably, looking around nervously. Taking advantage of the moment of confusion, Kang Lim and Park-1, wasting no time, retreated to the exit. The broker's henchmen noticed this too late and tried to catch up with them, but Sirin and Naruto managed to move several boxes, blocking the passage. Naruto held back his joy, knowing that they had a chance to escape. They helped their friends up, and together they headed towards the same exit that Sirin and Naruto had just snuck in. Their escape route was open, and they hurried towards the exit, but they heard Broker's screams behind them. "Do you think you can escape?" His voice was full of anger and threat. "You will regret interfering in my affairs." They ran out into the street without wasting any time and ran as fast as they could away from the warehouse. For a moment, all four of them looked back, realizing that they needed to find cover as quickly as possible and work out their next steps. They stopped at an abandoned building nearby and, catching their breath, looked at each other, glad that they had managed to escape. "We did it," Naruto said happily, trying to catch his breath. "That was great teamwork." Sirin looked at each of them, feeling gratitude. "I don't even know how to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been let go." Kang Lim smiled slightly, nodding. "You're part of the team, Sirin. We have each other's backs, that goes without saying." Park-1 caught her breath and raised her hand in approval. "We knew things might not go as planned, but we were still willing to take the risk for you." Sirin felt tears welling up in her eyes for a moment, but she quickly brushed them away, not wanting to show weakness. "I owe you everything. And I'm always ready to be there for you if you need help." All four of them exchanged glances full of respect and gratitude. They now knew that their friendship had been tested to the limit, and each was ready to stand up for the other in any situation. "But now we'll have to figure out how to keep you safe and prevent you from being kidnapped again," Naruto said, his face becoming serious again. "The broker now knows we're interfering with his business. We need to figure out our next move." Kang Lim thought for a moment and replied with a slight frown, "I think we need to find a way to expose his machinations. If we can gather evidence, he won't be able to continue threatening us." Sirin, feeling confident thanks to her friend's support, nodded, "I'm willing to do my best. We can do it if we work together." With that, the team knew that there was more trouble ahead, but each of them was confident that now that they were united, it would not be easy for Broker to defeat them. Chapter 7. As the team made their way to the final meeting place with the broker, tensions were high. They knew this was their chance to put an end to the broker's machinations once and for all. Naruto, Sirin, Kang Lim, and Park-1 were prepared for any outcome, each determined to protect each other and expose the broker to everyone. Sirin had a hard time hiding her anxiety, but looking at Naruto's confident expression calmed her down. "Naruto, are you sure you can handle this?" she asked quietly as they approached the building. Naruto gave her a reassuring smile. "Sirin, I already told you, as long as I'm with you, no one will touch you. The broker may be strong, but he doesn't have a team like ours." Kang Lim, who was walking next to him, nodded. "Yes, the broker is used to people obeying him out of fear, but he won't intimidate us." As they reached the old warehouse where the team learned Broker was planning to hold the meeting, each of them focused. They heard muffled voices coming from inside and realized Broker was already waiting for them. They cautiously entered the room, and the scene before them was, the broker stood in the center of the room, surrounded by several henchmen. He immediately noticed the team and looked at them with a cold grin. "Oh, here come my little heroes," he said mockingly, crossing his arms over his chest. "Did you think you could just stop me? You won't get away this time," Naruto said firmly, his voice confident and unyielding. The broker looked at Naruto with interest, but there was a hint of worry in his eyes. "Are you so sure about this? You don't understand who you're dealing with." Naruto stepped forward, challenging, "It's you who don't understand. We came for the truth, and no one will stop us. The broker nodded to his men, who immediately took up positions, ready to attack. But Naruto only grinned and took a stance, ready to fight. He knew that strength and speed were on his side. "Sirin, stay behind," he ordered, turning to face her, and she nodded, stepping back slightly. "Are you sure you can handle them alone?" Kang Lim asked, casting a worried glance at Naruto. Naruto smirked, "Trust me, it'll be easier than it looks." With these words, he rushed forward, moving with such speed that Broker's henchmen barely had time to react. Yeah guys. Naruto held back his power. One of them tried to hit Naruto, but he easily dodged, grabbed his opponent by the arm and, turning sharply, threw him against the wall. Two more henchmen rushed at him from both sides, but Naruto, deftly moving, dodged and delivered quick blows that forced them to retreat. Sirin, watching this, could not hide her admiration. "He really is incredible." Kang Lim nodded, also taken aback, but quickly pulled himself together. "Come on, Sirin, just in case, let's keep our distance and support him." Naruto meanwhile continued to fight the broker's henchmen. Each of his blows was precise and powerful. One by one, the enemies fell to the ground, clearly not expecting such strength from one person. "You just outplayed yourself, broker," Naruto said, stopping in front of him as the last of his henchmen fell. "Thought intimidation would do the trick, but you've got nothing else." The broker, seeing his men out of action, began to get nervous, but tried to keep his cool. "You don't understand what you've gotten yourself into," he said through clenched teeth. "Do you think anyone would believe you if I told you that you were simply trying to ruin my business?" Naruto just smirked and folded his arms across his chest. "No, broker. Everyone will believe the truth when we show them proof of your machinations. You won't be able to threaten any of us anymore." "Kang Lim has already called the police," Park Jong-ah added, coming closer. "They'll be here any minute. You've lost." At these words, Broker tried to break free and run towards the exit, but Naruto blocked his path, not allowing him to leave. "You're not leaving here," he said firmly, looking intently at Broker. "It's time for you to answer for everything you've done." The broker looked at him, angry, but realizing he had no choice, he stopped and gave in. When the police finally arrived, the officers arrested Broker and his henchmen. The team watched in relief as their enemy was led away in handcuffs, knowing that they could finally live in peace. The next day, Sirin returned to school. Now she didn't have to look back and fear threats. Naruto, Kang Lim, and Park Jong-ah were waiting for her in the classroom, and they greeted her with joyful smiles. "Welcome back, Sirin," Naruto exclaimed, hugging her. "Now you are truly with us," Kang Lim added, nodding proudly. Sirin couldn't help but smile. "Thank you, friends. If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have happened to me. Now I'm sure I've found true friends I can rely on." Park Jong-ah approached them and suggested, "I think we should celebrate our victory. We deserve it." The team laughed, knowing that there were many more adventures ahead. But now they were confident that together they could overcome everything. Chapter 8: The Bonds of Friendship and the Birth of Feelings. After all the trials associated with the broker, life at school began to take on new colors. The friendship between Sirin, Naruto, Kang Lim and Park Jong-ah grew stronger and they became inseparable. However, now their company was joined by new friends, Yun-Soo and Min-jong-na, who brought their own special dynamics and fun. One sunny morning, Naruto walked into school with a big smile on his face. He noticed Sirin and Park Jong-ah animatedly discussing their weekend plans at the entrance. He was sitting under a tree, engrossed in a book, and nearby, Min-jong-na was already talking to Yun-Soo, who was standing there with a serious expression, as if pondering another riddle. "Hey guys!" Naruto exclaimed cheerfully, walking up to them. "What are you talking about today?" "We're thinking about what to do after school," Park Jong-ah explained, smiling. We want to do something fun and memorable. Min Jong-na, always energetic and full of ideas, chimed in, how about going to an amusement park? I heard they opened a new ride called the Magic Coaster. They say it's incredibly exciting. Sirin beamed with delight. That sounds great. I've been wanting to go there for a long time. Great, Kang Lim agreed. And maybe we can have a picnic after that. We can take some food and spend some time outdoors. Naruto enthusiastically encouraged everyone, wonderful. Let's all get together and have a great day together. The more, the merrier. He closed her book and came closer. I want to join too. It's a great opportunity to relax and spend time with friends. Min Jong-na nodded. Then it's a deal. We'll meet at the school entrance after school. Don't forget to bring something tasty for the picnic. That day after school, the whole group gathered at the school entrance. In addition to Naruto, Sirin, Park Young-ah, Kang Lim, Hee, and Min Jong-na, they were joined by Yun-soo, who, despite his serious appearance, also seemed excited about the upcoming event. I heard that the Magic Coaster is a real challenge for the brave, Yun-soo said, smiling. Are you ready for the adventure? Of course. Naruto replied, challenging. The more challenges, the more interesting. The group headed to the amusement park, chatting and laughing happily. Along the way, they discussed which rides to visit first and shared their expectations for the day ahead. When they arrived at the park, they were greeted by a bright and festive atmosphere. New rides were installed everywhere, music was playing from the speakers, and people were laughing and enjoying themselves. Min Jong-na, always eager to be active, immediately suggested, let's start with the Magic Coaster. I heard it's one of the most exciting places in the park. Sirin looked at Naruto, feeling a little nervous. Are you ready, Naruto? She asked, slightly nervous. Of course, he answered confidently, holding her hand. Together we're not afraid of any hills. They approached the attraction, where other groups of people were already standing. The owner of the attraction, noticing them, smiled, welcome. Are you ready to experience real adventures? Yes, they all answered in unison. Approaching the line. While they were waiting for their turn, Naruto noticed Hee occasionally glancing at him. He realized that there might be something more between them than just friendship, but decided not to jump to conclusions. When their time came, they boarded the carriage and began their journey. The ride was truly magical. Bright lights, unusual sounds and sudden turns created a feeling of real magic. Wow, this is incredible! Sirin exclaimed, holding Naruto's hand. I knew you'd like it, he said, smiling at her. After skating, they decided to have a picnic in a specially designated area of the park. Min Jong-na set out blankets and took out food, which had already attracted the attention of everyone present. Here you go, she said, handing out sandwiches and fruit. Enjoy. Thank you, Min Jong-na, everyone thanked. While they were enjoying their meal, Park Jong-ah suggested, how about a little game? Maybe we can play truth or dare. That's a great idea. Kang Lim agreed. It's always fun. He nodded and the game began. Each one took turns asking questions or giving tasks, causing much laughter and joy. When it was Sirin's turn, Naruto decided to ask her a question he had long wanted to hear the answer to. Truth or dare, Sirin? Sirin thought for a moment. True. Okay. Tell me, is there anyone you like in our company? He asked, looking at her with slight nervousness. She blushed slightly, but decided to answer honestly. Yes, there is. It's Naruto. Naruto was surprised, but quickly regained his composure, smiling at her. Thank you, Sirin. I'm always happy to support you. You're special, Park Jong-ah added, watching their interaction. And so am I. Naruto was already in shock and couldn't believe that two beauties had confessed to him. But he thought it was all a joke. The group continued to have fun, playing various games and sharing stories. Min Young Na, always eager to have fun, suggested, "Let's have a dance contest. I know some cool tracks." "That's a great idea." Kang Lim agreed. "Let's go, let's not be shy." They turned on the music and started dancing, creating an atmosphere of joy and unity. Sirin danced next to Naruto, feeling their bond grow stronger. Yuda-He, watching this, also smiled, feeling that there was a special bond between them. Later, they decided to visit the new fun house that opened in the park. The place was filled with mirrors, distortions, and traps that caused laughter and fun. Min Young Na and Park Young Ah were the first to enter, laughing and looking at the unusual reflections. "Look at you, Park Young Ah." Min Jong Na screamed when she saw her distorted reflection. "Huh, that's fun." Park Jong Ah replied, laughing. Sirin and Yuda-He followed them, enjoying the game and laughing. Naruto, watching all this, felt his heart fill with warmth and gratitude for such wonderful friends. Later, they decided to take a group photo as a keepsake. Yun-Soo, as always, suggested, "Let's get together and take a photo. I can set up the camera to capture this moment forever." "That's a great idea," Naruto agreed, smiling at everyone. They gathered together and Yun-Soo began setting up the camera. Naruto hugged Sirin and Park Young Ah, and Yuda-He stood next to them, creating a harmonious composition. Min Jong Na and Kang Lim joined them, and everyone smiled, preparing for the moment. "Ready?" Yun-Soo asked, pressing the shutter button. The photo turned out great. Bright smiles, sincere looks and a feeling of unity and friendship were captured in the picture. Everyone was happy with the result and decided that this would be their memorable moment. "It turned out great," Yuda-He said, looking at the camera screen. "Yes," Kang Lim agreed. "Now we have a memory of our wonderful day." "Thank you, Yun-Soo, for the photo," Sirin said, smiling at him. "You are always welcome, my faithful servants," he replied, pleased with the result. As evening came, they decided to end the day with a walk in the park. Illuminated by lanterns and the soft light of the moon, the park seemed like a magical place. They walked together, discussing the past day and planning future activities. Sirin, who was walking next to Naruto, felt a little nervous. She knew that her feelings for him were growing stronger, and she wanted him to understand her too. Naruto, who was watching her smile, also felt something special. "You know, Sirin," he began, looking into her eyes, "I'm glad that we have such wonderful friends and that we can spend time together. You are very important to me." "And you are for me, Naruto," she replied, feeling her heart beat faster. Yuda-He smiled slightly as she watched them. She knew that there could be something more between them, but she decided to respect their feelings and leave things as they were. Meanwhile, Min Young Na and Park Young Ah walked together, discussing plans for future events. "We should have days like this more often," Park Jong Ah said. "It helps us stay closer to each other." "I agree," Min Jong Na supported her. "And perhaps find new interesting places to visit." "I'll say it again. Everyone knows Kang Lim's sister." Yun-Soo, who was walking a little to the side, watched the group with a slight smile. He understood that their friendship was special and was glad to be a part of this team. As they approached the exit of the park, Naruto stopped and looked at Sirin. "Do you want to do anything else?" he asked, feeling like he wanted to spend more time with her. Sirin smiled at him. "I think that would be great. But maybe we should get home so we don't get late for class tomorrow." "Of course," he agreed. "Let's go together." They walked back, accompanied by the soft light of the lanterns and the sounds of the city at night. Sirin felt her heart fill with joy and gratitude for such friends and for Naruto, who became more than just a friend to her. On the way home, they discussed plans for their next meeting, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Sirin felt that her relationship with Naruto was growing, and it brought her joy and confidence. As they approached Sirin's house, Naruto stopped and turned to face her. "Thank you for today," he said, looking into her eyes. "I'm glad we can spend time together." "Me too," she replied, smiling. "It was a wonderful day." He lightly touched her cheek, and Sirin felt the warmth of his touch. "Good night, Sirin." "Good night, Naruto." As they went home, Sirin couldn't help but think about how her relationship with Naruto had changed and how strong their friendship was. She knew that there were still many adventures and challenges ahead, but she was now confident that with friends like Naruto and people like her, she could overcome anything. The day after the exciting picnic, life at school continued as usual. Friends continued to spend time together, participate in various events and support each other in any situation. Sirin, Naruto, Yu-Da-hee, and Park-Young-ah often met together, discussing their future plans and sharing their dreams. Their friendship grew even stronger, and each of them knew that they could rely on each other in any circumstances. "You know," Sirin began during one of the meetings in the clubroom, "I increasingly understand how important it is to have friends like you. We've been through a lot together, and it's only strengthened our bonds." "Yes," Naruto agreed, smiling at her. "We've become a family. And I'm happy that you're with us, Sirin." Yu-Da-hee, sitting next to Naruto, smiled at him. "And I'm happy to be part of this team too. You're all special to me." Park-Jong-ah pulled him closer to her. "We will always be there, supporting each other and helping each other in difficult times." Min-Young-na, watching the company, added, "Friendship is the most valuable thing we have. And I'm glad that we have such a strong team." Yun-Soo, who was standing in the corner of the room, also joined in the conversation. "We have proven that we can overcome any challenge together. This makes us stronger and more confident." Surprisingly, Yun-Soo said these words normally. At that moment, Naruto walked up to Sirin and Yu-Da-hee, placing his hand on Sirin's shoulder and smiling at both of them. "I want to say that I really appreciate both of you. You make my life brighter and more joyful. And you're doing ours." "Naruto," Yu-Da-hee replied, smiling back at him. "I think I'm starting to feel something other than just friendship," Yu-Da-hee thought uncertainly. Park-Young-ah was Kang Lim's friend, but she also had a crush on Naruto. Feeling satisfied and confident around Naruto, Sirin felt her heart fill with warmth at these words. She realized that she had found true friends and perhaps something more that could develop over time. "We are ready for new challenges," she said, looking at her friends with confidence. "There are still many interesting moments ahead of us, and I am sure that together we will cope with any difficulties." The company agreed with her, feeling that their friendship had become even stronger. They realized that now that they were together, their strength and support for each other allowed them to overcome any obstacles. So, the arc of their lives has ended, leaving behind many pleasant memories and laying the foundation for future adventures. Friendship, love and support have become the main principles that will accompany them on the path to new victories and achievements. Sirin returned to school with a deep sense of satisfaction and gratitude. She knew that she had found not only friends, but also a true family that she could always rely on. There was pride and love in her friends' eyes, and she knew that together they could overcome any difficulties. The company decided to celebrate the completion of the arc once again by having a small evening in the clubroom. They gathered together, enjoying the music and discussing plans for the future. "We've proven that together we can do anything," Naruto said, raising his glass of lemonade. "To our friendship and for always being there for each other." "To us," everyone answered, raising their glasses. "And here's to the new adventures that await us," Yu-Da-hee added, smiling at everyone. "We're ready for anything," Sirin said, feeling confident and safe around her friends. Park-Jong-ah walked up to Naruto and placed her hand on his shoulder. "Thank you for everything, Naruto. You made our friendship even stronger. Always happy to help, he replied, looking into her eyes. We're a team, after all. Min Young-na and Yun-soo joined them, and the group continued the evening, enjoying the music and fellowship. Light dancing and cheerful conversations created an atmosphere of joy and unity. As the evening drew to a close, they decided to take another group photo to capture the moment. Yun-soo set up the camera and they gathered together, smiling and getting ready for the shot. Are my mortals ready? He asked, pressing the button. The photo turned out great. Bright smiles, sincere looks and a feeling of true friendship were captured in the picture. Everyone was happy with the result and decided that this would be their memorable moment. It turned out great. Yuda, he said, looking at the camera screen. Yes, Kang Lim agreed. Now we have a memory of our wonderful evening. Thank you, Yun-soo, Serin said, smiling at him. For the photo and everything. You're welcome, he replied, pleased with the result. As they parted ways to go home, Serin walked next to Naruto, feeling a little nervous and happy about the time they had spent together. Thank you for everything, Naruto, she said, blushing slightly. You're always there when I need you. It's not you who deserves gratitude, he replied, taking her hand gently. You're an important part of our team. And I'll always be here to support you. Serin smiled at him and her cheeks blushed sweetly. Yuda, watching them with a slight smile, understood that their friendship was full of special moments and feelings. She decided to keep her crush on Naruto a secret, respecting his relationship with Serin and supporting them both. Min Young-na and Park Young-ah, noticing how Serin and Naruto had become closer, also felt happy for their friends. They understood that true friendship is not only about support and help, but also about respecting each other's feelings. Yun-soo, observing the company, decided that their friendship was truly special and unique. He understood that despite his mysterious abilities, he could become an important part of their lives, bringing joy and fun to them. The company remained united and strong, ready for new adventures and challenges. Their friendship became inseparable, and love and respect for each other became the basis of their relationship. Now they knew that together they could overcome any difficulties and reach any heights. And so this chapter of their lives ended, leaving behind many pleasant memories and laying the foundation for future achievements. End of the first part. Guys, if there will be a lot of activity here, I will write and post a new part. Thanks for watching. Good luck to everyone and bye.